Today, I wanted to share something with you, something that's close to my heart. The link between integrity and connection. We all desire to be connected. Connection is the state that we're wired for. Our nervous systems have been designed to seek resonance with those around us. Have you ever noticed when you meet someone that you're drawn to them deeply when you feel they're authentic, truthful, and they're not hiding anything from you? Rather, it feels like their internal center is deeply rooted in their understanding of self and their hearts. And this is what many are seeking. And often we find our purpose in this space. The meaning of life, so to speak. I feel that connection is almost poetic. It's like you're dancing. It's a cosmic dance. Dancing of hearts and dancing of souls. And if you know me, I like to break things down to understand it better. So I want to define connection. So connection can be many things to many people. So it's contextual. It depends on the individual and their experiences and who they are. But for me, connection is a feeling that's deeply rooted in a link that's not tangible. It's almost invisible. But it's based in mind, heart, and body with another living being. It's the ability to see another for who they are without projecting desires, needs, idealized thoughts upon them, without expectation. Because when we do this, and it's not easy, it allows for each individual in the exchange to feel safe, to feel accepted and understood on their own terms, even if it's different to ours. It means for us to step away from who we think we are, who we think they are, and to allow them and allow ourselves to listen in the space in between. It's a heart-centered thread that links the consciousness of one person to another. And in its purity, connection is cradled in the selfless heart space without deception, without underlying motives. And because of this, it pushes each individual in the exchange to realize their potential. And it feels sacred. There's a sacredness about that. There's a sacredness of being able to really give the space for someone to be heard, be understood, to be seen. Sometimes, when we talk about these things, it can kind of feel daunting. Where do we start? How do we do that? But our nervous systems are actually primed for connection, primed to connect with everything around. Most importantly, if the feelings of safety are missing, you can't cultivate connection. I believe it is a cultivation because in society we're taught to be driven by our instincts without awareness. So we're driven by concepts of pleasure and to run away from pain or any kind of difficulty, pain of the body, mind, or even at a soul level. And by focusing on receiving the pleasure of the mind and the body, we're numbing ourselves. We're running away from the beauty of the learning from discomfort. And we forget our true calling to connect, to link, and to connect with our hearts first and foremost. For all the material pleasures we pursue, they're but fleeting experiential metaphors that leave us unfulfilled in the end. And so when we pursue superficial pleasures based on chemical reactions of the brain, it's like a dopamine hit, likes on social media or other technology. Instant gratification is sold to us over and over again. But these are short-lived, and often they leave a void, and we're seeking more. And I feel like we often forget that we create patterns because they become automatic behavior. And we connect with patterns. We think we connect with patterns of behavior that feed these needs. But there's a difference between feeding a need and nourishing the self. And when the needs are fed in this way, there's a lack of depth that comes from being vulnerable and intimate through honesty and integrity, even when it's hard, even when it's uncomfortable, even if we don't want to hear things sometimes, or it's difficult to share things sometimes. But it's in those difficult moments when you take that first step and you open in safety to the vulnerability, the intimate vulnerability, that's where connection happens. That's when we feel we can be in resonance with someone else, even in the discomfort. It's a resonance that's deep inside of us. It's one that we yearn for subconsciously, and yet it's shrouded with distraction and illusion. And it keeps us away from what we want the most. And this is when I feel integrity comes in. It's often closely linked to truth. Without truth, integrity is lost. It's often diluted and it becomes another superficial concept that's intellectualized. But actually, integrity is cultivated. When we keep it superficial, it remains uncultivated. And it keeps us from the truth inside us. It keeps us from our purpose. So let's look at integrity just a little closer. At the surface, integrity is often described by matching your words with your actions. But if we go a little deeper, it's more than that. There's a calling for awareness, not just about ourselves, but of those around us, those who are dear to us. It's a calling to understand our own moral compass, what we value, and what really aligns with these values. It is about being truthful with ourselves, about our stories. Often stories are created from illusion, and we tell ourselves so many things to justify our actions, our behaviors, and to keep our beliefs steadfast. So it takes courage, discipline, persistence, and effort to cultivate integrity. And here again, it really calls for us to be vulnerable and intimate with ourselves first, because then we're able to share that and be that with others. It calls us to review our belief system. It calls us to review what we're allowing to drag us into what isn't in resonance with us. It calls us to become aware and to understand what we want to let into our lives, who we want access to in our lives, who we want access to us in our lives, what we're willing to accept and what are healthy boundaries, and to adjust these in our relationships, whether it's at work, school, at home. Sometimes there's a calling to revise behaviors when we notice that perhaps we're leaking energy, be it from ourselves or the cocoon of our relationships that we create, that we really want to protect. The leakage of energy through connecting with that which isn't in alignment with us, which weakens bonds in relationships and doesn't allow for the heartfelt connection, vulnerability, and the intimacy. And it can't be cultivated and experienced because it gets eroded. So integrity is about truth. On the other hand, it supports our understanding of who we are, what we identify with, and why. So in the short time we've had together, this is a large subject. I hope that I've shared why I think connection and integrity are inextricably linked. One I don't think can be without the other. One cannot be cultivated without the other. Otherwise, we run the risk of delving into one thing after another thing without fulfillment, or we run the risk of losing deep connections that we have cultivated or would like to cultivate due to actions and behaviors born of unawareness and quick gratification. When we separate ourselves from the heart, I do believe the heart is everything. So I have a question for you. What are you connecting to? Is it in truth? And is it in integrity? Is it building connection? Or is it avoidance? And can you sit in front of yourself in the mirror and say with honesty that it is you? My name is Chiara Marapodi. I'm an integrative life coach and a trauma recovery specialist. I'm also an affiliate coach at Vino Envision. And these are my thoughts. I hope you've enjoyed it. I'll see you soon.